You're listening to Big World Network.
Kai's Inquisition, The Blight of Shadowfall, Season 2, Episode 7. Written and read by Ton Krakowski. A whooshing sound followed by a resounding crash roused Kai. She peeled her eyelids back, waving a limp hand in front of her face to clear the dull green smoke from her vision. The first thing that pierced her cloudy thinking was the awareness of the pain in her forehead, and she muttered a basic healing spell to ease it. Once the incantation was complete and the web of pain lifted somewhat, Kai was able to discern the source of the commotion that had awakened her. Chajak was slumped against the back wall of the cave atop a mishmash of broken pottery, the mangled remains of a wooden trunk, scattered dried herbs, vials of potions, and scrolls. He was not moving, but his chest did rise and fall to prove that he was alive. A trickle of blood dripped from the side of his head and pooled on the floor beside him. "His own fault," Kichi commented mildly from across the dwindling fire. "I said not to disturb the circle for any reason. Now I'll have to waste energy healing him after such foolish behavior. Why doesn't anyone ever listen?" Kai spun to face the old man, noting as she did so that she and the druid were the only ones conscious. "Your magic circles are able to repel invaders that violently?" she asked, astounded that the nude, emaciated oddball could be so adept with magic. Kichi chuckled. "Oh, goodness, no. Normally, even something as small as a thrush could dispel my magic and enter the grove. But don't you see?" He stood, eyes blazing with righteous fervor, and raised his arms to the sky. "We've been blessed!" "So I see." Kai's gaze touched upon the crab seared onto Kichi's chest before her eyes fell to the flames. She gingerly swept her fingertips over her own mark. The skin felt smooth, as if the brand had always been there. "Did you know that this would happen?" "Of course not," Kichi huffed. "The gods do as they will, and we are but drops of rain in the wind. But I did remain faithful, and prayed diligently to the divine scales all these years, and finally, my devotion has been noticed. He answered." She looked up sharply and asked, "Naderu has never spoken to you? I thought—" He frowned and crossed his arms over his new crab tattoo, studying her. "You thought what? That he would neglect tending to the very fabric of existence to chit-chat with you at your convenience? My dear, the gods hardly ever speak to anyone. They only make their wishes expressly known when circumstances are dire." Kai caressed the badger image above her eye again. She had believed that she was the only one her goddess had refused to address. All of her teachers, the only other faithful she had ever known, had boasted of personally receiving the word. Now, not only had the divine scales spoken to her, but she had also placed her mark upon them. Unaware of her inner turmoil, the old druid beamed at her and clapped his hands together. "This calls for a celebration." Reynard stirred. "A celebration? Is it my name day?" he asked in a thick voice. He lifted his head and found his nose inches from Kichi's scrawny backside as the old druid hastily circled the group to dismiss the spell. "Ugh! Put your robe back on, will ya? I think I'm going to vomit." Jack abruptly jumped to her feet, hand reaching for the hilt of the falchion she normally carried on her back. When her hand met empty space, she straightened and silently peered, baffled, at the brand on her shoulder. "My arm hurts," Reynard complained. "What the hell Hey!" He noticed the tattoo on his arm and appraised it with a lifted eyebrow and pursed lips. "This doesn't look half bad. Wenches like this kind of stuff, right?" He shoved Jack's leg to get her attention and held his bicep out for her to see. She kicked his arm away and growled, "In your case, just about anything would be an improvement, including a sack over your head." He blew her a kiss and said, "You try so hard to hide your true feelings from me, but your eyes betray your infatuation, my emerald beauty. I warned you not to fall in love with me." A gagging sound heralded Pia's return to consciousness. She stood and crossed her arms, turning her back on the rest of the group. "Kichi, have you dismissed the circle?" "Oh, yes, you are free to—" "Thank you," Pia interrupted, and marched out of the cave without another word. Kai found Pia seated in the center of a clearing a short distance from Kichi's cave. She had 3 open leather tomes arrayed around her, and was writing in a palm-sized journal with a feather quill dyed to match her robe. Intent on her work, she did not notice Kai as she entered the glade. "What are you doing?" Kai asked gently. Pia's back stiffened, but she showed no other signs of being startled. "What I had intended to do when I reached Adelam. I am cataloging plants." "Why?" "Because it's what I do, that's why," she asserted as she threw the quill onto one of the open books. She turned to Kai. "I am not interested in fame like Chajek, Reynard's riches, or even the adventure that Jack craves. I seek knowledge. That's it. I'm not about to go gallivanting on some absurd quest based on the ravings of some boorish lunatic. You people are on your own. Try to make good choices." Kai took a seat next to her. "If that were truly the case, you would be urging us to leave right away. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance for a scholar like yourself. I know that Kichi is, well, a bit eccentric, but I have no reason to believe he is anything but genuine. So what's really bothering you? It is futile to try to hide the truth from an Inquisitor." Pia sighed and took a moment to collect her thoughts. "Very well. I already told you that I have a price on my head, but I never told you why. When I was a scribe at the Citadel, my overwhelming desire for knowledge unearthed information, dark and dangerous secrets that those in power wished to keep hidden. I made the mistake of sharing what I had found with my mentor, who shortly thereafter suffered a violent and untimely demise. I myself barely managed to escape, and that was only because I was warned in a dream hours before they came for me. I believe they are willing to exterminate anyone that has ever come in contact with me to keep their secrets hidden. That is why I can't come with you. You were correct when you said my situation would put all of you in danger. Stopping to Daroth is imperative, and my involvement will only put that task at risk." Reynard stepped from the brush, spooking both women, and said, "No, it won't." "What are you doing here?" Kai demanded. What I do best? Sneaking around." He leaned against a tree, examined his fingertips, and shot Kai a look that left no doubt as to how idiotic he thought her question was. "Kai, please remind me to teach you a thing or two about being stealthy. You sound like a whole herd of baboons galloping across a library's worth of parchment when you're tracking. In any case, Pia doesn't have to worry about that pesky little contract anymore." "What do you mean?" Pia asked. "And what do you know of contracts?" Understanding clicked within Kai's mind. He knows because he is the assassin that was sent to kill you.
Music by Kevin MacLeod.
You're listening to Big World Network.